Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, visiting with our friend Margie Vogt from Massillon, Ohio, who, you just are Massillon, Ohio. You are the person who knows everything going on, in charge of all the events, and you seem to be able to take people on tours that are so fascinating and instructional and educational and tell us all the history of everything. I think every history I've ever read about Massillon, I see your name as the author. So, Margie, first of all, thank you. Thank you for what you do as far as keeping the excitement about this community in front of everybody all the time.
Thank you. I think you are being too kind, but I just love the town, and I think we have such a rich heritage that crosses all borders of our community, all bounds, and I'm just so proud of the place, and I want everybody else to be too.
Well, we can talk about all the kinds of things that you have your fingers in, but let's first of all get in front of everybody, everything happening right now. We're into a very busy season with all of the holidays in front of us. So what's happening in Massillon?
Well, of course, in my life, the core of things is right there at the Massillon Museum in the heart of the community, and there's so much going on right there right now. The Paul Brown Museum just opened.
For some people who are not familiar with what that is, that big new addition, tell us about it.
Oh, it's so exciting. The first floor is just a flat floor event space, and we've already used it twice. It's not even really quite finished.
Wow.
Wow. We had a wonderful party. It was a benefit for the Canton Museum of Art and the Massillon Museum, and it was such a success in that wonderful place. And we're just looking forward to hosting our events and community events there for years and years and years to come. That's the first floor. The second floor is dedicated to the Paul Brown Museum. And, of course, football is so much a part of Stark County.
Really? They like football in Massillon?
We kind of like it in Massillon.
What? Okay. If you say so.
We really kind of do. And the Paul Brown Museum opened the night of the Massillon McKinley Parade, and almost 275 people, well, that's how many we counted, came in either before or during or after the parade just to get a sneak peek. It's not all the way done yet, but it is the brightest, liveliest exhibition. Well, it's two exhibitions right now, and there will be more. There's more to come. But right now you can see Lessons from the Bench, which is all about Paul Brown and his impact on the entire game of football, high school, college, and, of course, pros. It might be orange and brown and black, but it is so informative and exciting. And then there's another exhibition there. It's called Loyal to the Lot, and it is really fun and colorful. It's about the tailgaters at Cleveland Browns Muni parking lot. And gosh, that night the photographer Stephen Tomasco was there, and some of the tailgaters were there too. They were supposed to come with their buses, but it was raining, so they just came and visited. And it's so exciting. And like I said, there's so much more to come. And then the staff will, when the third floor is finished, move all the offices there so that they can be together and brainstorm, which they do so fabulously. And then the big office space on the second floor that already existed will become additional gallery space.
Oh, my goodness.
So
still free?
Oh, we are always, a visit to your Massillon Museum is always free.
That is just still mind-bending, I think.
It is.
Because it continues to grow. So how do you do it? How do you fund such an awesome museum?
Well, of course, we are extremely grateful to our taxpayers because the Massillon Museum is the only museum in the state of Ohio that is funded by a property tax. And we actually worked with our legislators, our very forward-thinking Stark County legislators who made that possible, changed the law to make that possible. So that's a big chunk of our funding, but our staff is very good at obtaining grants. And they just work really hard to eke out everything they can on a very tight budget. So and now that's our operating budget. We're in the midst of a membership campaign right now.
Awesome.
So and certainly helps us fund the day-to-day things and the special events too, because that's some of those things can't come out of the regular budget.
Mm-hmm. And always there's a little plexiglass box that if you'd like to drop in a little something, they won't tune you down, right?
You better believe it.
So membership drive, how do we join?
Well, I'm sure there's information online at massillonmuseum.org, and you could just call, or I think the best way would be to stop in, enjoy your free visit, and pick up a membership brochure. Or they could just call me and I will facilitate it.
We'll take care of you.
We'll handle it however we can.
That sounds so good. It's always been such a fun thing. Growing up, I remember trips to the Massillon Museum, and so some of the things that were there then, as in Oscar, that skeleton,
yes,
still there. But then to see how it's grown and the newness and the excitement of all the new exhibits coming along is just really exciting and quite a credit to the town.
It is. It's an amazing place.
What else is happening?
Well, one of the new galleries has already opened at the museum, and that's a new Studio M space. And pretty soon, I guess now, through the end of the year, there'll be a great photography exhibit by Greg Martin. And then we have a community room, the Fred F. Silk Community Room in the lower level, and that's going to be more community partnerships. Boys and Girls Club had an exhibition there, Relay for Life. And coming up on the 6th of December, Walsh University will have their 12th annual art exhibition. It's a photography exhibition. We love to partner. The Massillon Museum is nothing if it is not collaborative. So that's very exciting.
Now there is a capital campaign going on.
In addition to the membership drive, the capital campaign has been going on for several years, and that is completely separate from operating money and membership money, and that's what's funding, along with grants and private gifts. That's what's funding this fabulous
new
expansion.
Edition.
Yes, so that's not being handled with any of the taxpayers' money.
Can't move on from that without going back to something you said about lessons from the bench. There really is something about the game of football that can be applied to life. It's that greater application, I think, that, I know that our Football Hall of Fame really ascribes to, and the Paul Brown certainly did.
Yes.
What would you add to that?
I think that whether you love football or you really don't like it much, the spirit of football has, not just in Massillon, but pretty much in Stark County, really drives us. It's a sense of community that we have that I'm not sure exists everywhere. And Paul Brown was all about applying football lessons to real life. And I have to say that I truly believe that our wonderful coach, Moore, feels the same way. I see him doing holistic things with his players, and that just means so much in the community.
I remember in the end of the film Go Tigers, no matter what you think of that film, Chris Spielman saying something at the very end, what is so wrong with a town having something that pulls everyone together?
Absolutely.
And I thought, that's right. Most towns would love to have something that draws everyone together and gives everyone that sense of community. For Massillon, it's been football.
It has.
Very cool. Well, it's also been a community candlelight walk.
Oh, yes. That started in 2001, and I'm proud to say that it will be as big and wonderful this year as ever.
So cool.
It will happen on December 2nd. And the walk has expanded a little bit, so the walk itself will be from 5 o'clock to 7:30, and that encompasses 8 churches. There are historic downtown churches, and every one of them will be having live music or storytelling or tours of the church going on. And one thing that we've added new this year is that instead of getting a brochure to carry around with you with the history of the churches, you'll have a schedule of when the churches plan to have their music. So if they're taking a little break, you might say, oh, I think I'll go to First United Methodist Church at first, and then I'll go to Central Pres. So, well, we've tried, we discovered that 2.5 hours is an awfully long time for musicians to perform.
So they're not performing the entire 2.5 hours.
They've tried.
It's like a bit of almost like, what are those, progressive dinners? It's almost like progressive concert.
It is. And there's no particular route. You can choose your own route. You can make your own pace. And I think the longest break without music is 15 minutes at any one of the churches. But then you can enjoy the beautiful architecture.
Oh, yes.
And all of the churches that are allowed liturgically to be decorated for Christmas at that early stage will be. And it's the most heartwarming evening. There are luminarias around almost all the churches, and many of them lead you to a nearby church. The Charm neighborhood puts out 700 luminarias along historic 4th Street and throughout their neighborhood.
It's beautiful.
It's stunning.
And isn't it something that there are 8 churches all in walking distance of each other? Because this is a
9 if you count, because you end up at St. Mary's Church.
You're right. Oh, and there's a beautiful one. Tell us who all is participating as far as the churches involved.
That. St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church, St. George Greek Orthodox Church, St. John's United Church of Christ, St. Timothy's Episcopal Church, First United Methodist Church, Central Presbyterian, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Those are the ones from 5 to 7:30.
Okay.
And then you have 15 minutes to get to St. Mary's, where the finale is. And the finale includes the ceremonial candle lighting. By then we will have chosen some special person who did something wonderful for the community during the year, and they get to light the community candle. And then there'll be St. Barbara's Handbell Choir and the Washington High School Advanced Choir.
Oh, my goodness. This will be fantastic.
It's just an amazing thing. And if you haven't seen St. Mary's Church since it was restored, it is just fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's just a magical night where everybody comes together. There are also 4 community partners that will be with us. The library staff will be singing on the steps of the library.
I love it.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, that's cool.
And the Massillon Railroad Club is based in the basement of First United Methodist Church, and it's an amazing train layout, and they have trains zooming around everywhere, and many of them have, there's some Massillon steel mills and Massillon railroad cars. There'll be a line there, I'm sorry to say, but it's worth the wait.
I didn't even know there was a Massillon Railroad Club.
Well, some Tuesday or Saturday, you just stop in there. They're always open.
That is
days,
awesome.
It's just the best. And Five Oaks, the home of the Massillon Women's Club, will be decorated for Christmas, it will be open. And then the Massillon Museum will be open. There'll be the official warming station. That's been other places, but this year in the new event space,
perfect.
You'll be able to come in, warm up, and Main Street Deli will make the most magnificent cutout cookies with big old thick fancy icing on, cocoa, coffee, and it's all free. And now the museum will be selling some mulled wine in case anybody needs a little more bracing. And Voci, members of Voci will be singing there.
Oh, my goodness. Margie, these things are free?
This entire evening is free.
That's amazing.
It's just the best, warmest thing that happens in Massillon. We have some sponsors. May I tell you who our sponsors are?
Please do. Please tell us who makes this possible.
The Independent helps us coordinate everything. Aqua Ohio, Main Street Deli, and Downtown Massillon Association have been especially generous. And we have other community wonderful sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Chapel Hill Community, Farmers National Bank, Kobe Electric, Packley Funeral Home, St. John's United Church of Christ, and PPI Graphics. And I think that gives you a little idea of how broadly we reach across the community for this event.
Thank you to all of them for making this possible to be able to, for all of us to experience. Remind us again, date, time, where we meet.
It's December 2nd. The walk itself is from 5:30 to 7, and the finale is at 7:45. You can start at any one of those churches. You pick up your brochure, your guide there. We'll also have some friendly little elves out and about.
That will help. That's
so
good.
on various corners, you'll find people with crazy hats and battery flashlights, candles. And then we end up at St. Mary's at 7:45. If you don't feel up to the walk, there is no shame in just going directly to St. Mary's.
Okay.
and there will be some music before the 7:45 program there. So, and there are also 3 other churches that might be a little surprised that they're not our historic churches and they're not in the exact area, but they just want to be part of the fun. So from 4 to 5, you could go hear the Tuslaw Show Choir at Grace United Church of Christ, and then the Music Box Church on Federal, and the First Church of Christ Zionist will also have live performances.
My goodness. All right. Well, that's December 2nd. Circle that date on your calendar and don't miss it. We do need to take a short little break. We'll be back with Margie after these words. You're listening to Our Community.